Hey, I'm Hunter from Unity Manufacturing. I'm here in my garage in Columbus, Ohio. I'm about to tell you about these two intake leak testers that I make, and I'm going to demonstrate that on my 1975 Harley Shovelhead. These are two intake leak testers that I make. I make it for a 2-bolt intake manifold or a 4-bolt linkert manifold. This would be a typical manifold you'd find on an Ironhead or a Shovelhead. You can use it with S&S carbs. And this right here is a 4-bolt linkert for a Panhead or a Knucklehead. Both of these tools are made out of stainless steel right here in Ohio. The reason you would want to use one of these tools is it allows you to find leaks in your intake manifold. I have a Shovelhead here. It's got rubber band style intake, and they're hard to get on right. And if you have a leak in your intake manifold where it connects to the heads, it's hard to diagnose sometimes. And if you have one, it's gonna make your bike run like DooDoo, and you don't want that. So what you do is you take this 2-bolt intake manifold tester, use this gasket. You actually don't even really need a gasket because you're not testing this surface, you're testing these two rubber band surfaces. Put it on here, bolt it on. This is a Schrader valve here, and this is a standard valve that you would find on a bicycle or a car tire or a motorcycle tire. You can use your air compressor, or a bicycle pump works just fine. You need 3 to 5 PSI. If you use your air compressor, you're gonna wanna ratchet down that pressure. You do not wanna put 100 PSI through this because it'll tell you everything is leaking. All right, so I've got my soapy water here. I got my bicycle pump. And an important thing to note is in order to use this, you have to make sure that your intake valves are closed. The best way to do that is to pull your push rod covers and then check to make sure that the push rods spin freely. Now that I have closed intake valves, I'm gonna hook up my bicycle pump here, and then I'll spray some soapy water on the seals. And then I start putting some pressure on. And it's okay if you get bubbles around this seal. I could tighten it down a little bit and not get the bubbles, but what I'm looking for is bubbles anywhere around these intakes. And if you see any, then you have a leak, which you need to readjust your intake seals in order to seal up properly. I'm gonna spray it on the intake seals, and what I find, see that bubble forming right there? See how it forms out from the seal? So you see how that bubble forms? That means I have an intake leak. So I'm gonna have to readjust my intake seals, and in doing that, I'll test it again, and I'll test it again until I get no bubbles, and then I know my intake is tight. So I went and tightened my intake clamp around this band over here where I was getting the leak. Let's test it again. As you can see, I'm not getting any bubbles from that same spot. The only bubbles I'm getting are from around the intake leak tester, and that's okay. So now that I've done that, I just need to put my carb back on and I'm good to go. If you're working on your bike, you're taking your carb on and off, this is a really helpful tool to have. Make sure your bike is running right. If you want to get this or any other tool Unity Manufacturing makes, you can get it at lowbrowcustoms.com. Thanks for watching.
UNITY, that's a unity.